Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master who opened my eyes which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. Talking about Arjuna's question, where we left off last time, Arjuna is asking, what is it that impels a living entity to commit an action when he actually doesn't want to do it? Like, why is one impelled to do things even when one knows that it is not uh, proper to do it? We are all bound to commit sin, and Arjuna is asking, why is one impelled to do so? Who are we? We are atomic conscious particles, eternal servant of Krishna. Yet, when we come in contact with this body, like I'm a spirit soul, but then I inhabited this body. And the moment I, the spirit soul, comes in contact with this body, the body is made up of matter. And when the spirit soul comes in contact with matter, the love that one has for Krishna gets transformed into love or lust for this matter, because I contacted matter. And just by the contact of matter, I become impelled by the modes that prevail the matter. A very simple example given is milk gets transformed into curd when it comes in contact with a sour agent. Once that contact is made, there is something that gets transformed. Like we all may have experience. I have experience. Hmm. We start using people and love things, which is so weird. Meaning, one, it happens. And it's like sitting in a roller coaster ride. When that contact is made, one is like sitting in a roller coaster ride. The roller coaster is meant to go round and round and round. And we chose to sit in that roller coaster. Now, once we chose to come in contact with this matter, we took this body, there is lust, which we can call as love, but love in the perverted form, love for satisfying one's own needs, or like fulfilling one's own desires for sensual um, satisfaction. And that desire very quickly, that lust gets transformed into wrath or anger, because how much ever we satisfy our senses, mm, the senses never get satisfied. They keep asking for more and more and more. And when one is not able to satisfy that demand of the senses, that lust, it gets transformed into wrath. One becomes angry because my senses are not satisfied. And very quickly, that anger or wrath gets transformed into illusion. And that illusion makes us go round and round. It makes us take one material body after another material body. And we we don't know how to get out of that roller coaster, although we sat in the roller coaster. We are just going round and round. So it is lust only that induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in this material world. Now, what's the solution? Wrath is a manifestation of mode of passion. Anger is a manifestation of mode of passion. And mode of passion very quickly degrades into ignorance. Now, there is an opportunity to elevate mode of passion into mode of goodness by spiritual attachment. Now, what do we mean when we say spiritual attachment? Like my spiritual master gives this example. He says, you enter a house, you leave your shoes in front of the door, and you enter the house. When you have to get out of the house, you look for the door from which you entered the house. Similarly, um, we got into this roller coaster, or the spirit soul came in contact with matter, and from there our love for Krishna got converted into lust. So now if we have to turn back, then we look for converting that lust back into love. So we turn our attention from material attachment to spiritual attachment, attachment to a spiritual practice of chanting the holy names, practice of reading the scripture, or any practice. Some people like to just sit in the kirtan and absorb the kirtan. Attachment to a spiritual practice, cultivating that attachment to a spiritual personality. We are inspired by somebody who practices spiritual life, cultivating deep relationship, cultivating an attachment to a spiritual personality, or attachment to a spiritual scripture, Bhagavad Gita, Shrimad Bhagavatam. When one cultivates one's attachment to uh, to something spiritual, then we have started to look for the door to go out. And whenever these modes hit us, lust, anger, they hit us, which is every day, we turn to our attachment that we have cultivated towards spirituality. The material creation, another point to understand is the material creation is a house of correction, created to give living entity a chance to fulfill these lustful propensities. When one becomes completely baffled by the prolonged sinful activity, then the living entity begins to inquire about their real possession. And that's where one's spiritual life begins, when one starts to ask the question, hey, why am I suffering? Why is there so much anger? Why do I get angry? Like Arjuna is asking, what is it that a living entity is impelled by to commit sin? So that's the uh, beginning of our spiritual quest. And all the best for the spiritual quest in our lives, which by which we are uh, looking for the door to go out of this material world. Thank you. Hare Krishna.